Welcome to Tales by Felix, where every story unlocks a new world. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Let's begin. The late summer sun beat down on the cracked, uneven yard of the rental house, its rays glinting off the rusty nails Alex Hammond struggled to hammer into a sagging wooden fence. Sweat dripped from his brow, stinging his eyes as he cursed under his breath. The fence was a metaphor for his life, barely holding together, splintered, and on the verge of collapse. At 36, Alex was a widower, a single father, and 2 months behind on rent. The weight of it all pressed on his chest like a stone. "Dad, you're gonna break it worse," came a small voice from behind him. Lily, his 10-year-old daughter, sat cross-legged on the patchy grass, her dark curls tied back in a messy ponytail. She clutched a worn sketchbook, her pencil hovering over a half-finished drawing of the house, a boxy, 2-story structure with peeling paint and a crooked chimney. Alex forced a grin, wiping his forehead with the back of his hand. "Oh, ye of little faith. This fence and I are gonna have a heart-to-heart, and it's gonna stand tall by dinner." Lily rolled her eyes, but a smile tugged at her lips. "You said that about the sink last week, and now it sounds like a dying whale when you turn it on." "Touché, kiddo." Alex chuckled, but the sound was hollow. He glanced at the house, its faded blue siding mocking him. He'd moved here 3 years ago, after Sarah's death, hoping for a fresh start. Instead, he'd found a leaking roof, a landlord who was sweet but vague, and a bank account that seemed to bleed dry every month. A curtain twitched in the window of the neighboring house, where Eleanor Grayson, their landlord, lived. Alex caught a glimpse of her silver hair before the curtain fell back into place. Eleanor was in her late 70s, with a kind face and a habit of bringing over homemade cookies, but lately she'd been quieter, her visits less frequent. Alex's stomach twisted. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. "Dad, why's Mrs. Grayson always watching us?" Lily asked, her pencil scratching against the paper. "She's probably just making sure I don't burn the place down," Alex said lightly, but his mind raced. Was she planning to sell the house? Evict them? He couldn't afford to move, not with his mechanic job barely covering the bills. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the yard, Alex hammered one last nail into the fence. It wobbled but held. "For now." He ruffled Lily's hair. "Come on, let's get some dinner. Mac and cheese sound good." "Again." Lily groaned, but she followed him inside, her sketchbook tucked under her arm. That night, as Alex lay awake in his creaky bed, the fence's temporary fix felt like a flimsy bandage on a deeper wound. He didn't know how much longer he could keep this life together, or what he'd do if it all came crashing down. The next morning, Alex was elbow-deep in the engine of a beat-up sedan at the auto shop when his phone buzzed. It was a text from Eleanor. "Can you stop by this afternoon? Need to discuss something." His heart sank. He'd been dodging her calls about the late rent, promising to pay soon. Now, it seemed, she was done waiting. After work, Alex trudged up the cracked stone path to Eleanor's house, his work boots leaving smudges of grease on the porch. Lily was at a friend's house, giving him a rare moment to face this alone. He knocked, and Eleanor opened the door, her face lined with worry. She wore a faded cardigan despite the heat, her hands trembling slightly as she gestured him inside. "Tea," she offered, her voice soft but strained. "No thanks," Alex said, shifting awkwardly in the cramped living room. The air smelled of lavender and old books. "What's up, Eleanor? Is this about the rent?" "I swear, I'm working on it." She waved a hand, cutting him off. "It's not that, Alex." "Not exactly." Before she could say more, her landline rang, its shrill tone slicing through the quiet. She hesitated, then picked it up. "Hello." "Yes, this is Eleanor Grayson." Alex sat on the edge of a floral couch, trying not to eavesdrop, but her words drifted to him anyway. "I know it's a good offer, but I need time to think." "Yes, the house next door." "No, they don't know yet." His blood ran cold. The house next door. His house. She was selling it. He stared at the faded rug, his mind racing. Where would they go? He couldn't afford a new place, not with his credit shot and Lily's school here. He felt like the ground was crumbling beneath him. Eleanor hung up, her face pale. "Sorry about that," she said, avoiding his eyes. "Just Business. Business. Alex's voice was sharper than he intended. You're selling the house, aren't you? My house. Eleanor's eyes widened. Alex, it's not what you think. Then what is it? He stood, his hands clenched. We've been good tenants, Eleanor. I know I'm behind, but I'm trying. You can't just kick us out. I'm not. She stopped, her voice breaking. It's complicated. Please, just trust me for now. Trust you? Alex laughed bitterly. You're talking about selling our home behind my back. How am I supposed to trust that? Eleanor's lips trembled, but she said nothing. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Finally, Alex shook his head and stormed out, the screen door slamming behind him. Back in his own house, he paced the kitchen, the linoleum creaking under his boots. Lily would be home soon, and he had no idea how to tell her they might lose everything. He sank into a chair, burying his face in his hands. The weight of it all, Sarah's death, the bills, now this, felt like it would crush him. But Alex didn't see the curtain twitch in Eleanor's window again, or the way her hand lingered on the phone, as if she were about to call someone else. Lily's bedroom was a haven of chaos, colored pencils scattered across her desk, posters of fantasy worlds taped to the walls, and a pile of library books teetering on her nightstand. That evening, as Alex cooked dinner downstairs, Lily sprawled on her floor, sketching the house again. She loved its quirks, the way the stairs creaked like they were telling secrets, the odd angles of the roof. But tonight, her pencil felt heavy, her dad's tense mood lingering in the air. As she shifted to grab a new pencil, her knee bumped a loose floorboard near her bed. It popped up with a soft thunk. Curious, she pried it open, revealing a dark, dusty space beneath. Inside was a small, leather-bound book, its cover cracked with age. She brushed off the dust, her fingers tracing the faint embossing, property of Margaret Hammond. Hammond. Her last name. Her heart raced. She opened the book, the pages yellowed and brittle. The first entry, dated 1947, was written in elegant cursive. This house is more than walls and windows. It holds a secret, a gift for those who come after me. If you're reading this, your family. Follow the clues, and you'll find your inheritance. Lily's eyes widened. Margaret Hammond was her great-grandmother. She'd heard her dad mention her once, a woman who'd lived in this house long ago. An inheritance. She flipped through the pages, finding cryptic phrases, the key to a new beginning, follow the path to the sun, where old meets new. It was like a treasure map, but maddeningly vague. She ran downstairs, clutching the diary. Dad, you gotta see this. Alex was stirring a pot of macaroni, his face still drawn from his fight with Eleanor. What's up, Lil? She thrust the diary at him. I found this under my floorboard. It's from great-grandma Margaret. She says there's a secret inheritance in the house. Alex took the book, skepticism etched into his features. He scanned the first page, his brow furrowing. This is old. But an inheritance? Lil, it's probably just stories. People wrote stuff like this for fun back then. But what if it's real? Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement. What if it's money or something? We could pay the rent, stay here. Alex's chest tightened. He wanted to believe it, for her sake, but hope felt dangerous. Still, he couldn't crush her enthusiasm. Okay, detective. We'll look into it. But dinner first. As they ate, Lily chattered about the diary, her imagination running wild. Alex listened, half distracted, his mind still on Eleanor's phone call. But the diary nagged at him. What if there was something hidden in this house? Something that could save them? The next afternoon, a sleek black SUV pulled up in front of the house, its engine purring like a predator. Alex was in the yard, wrestling with the fence again, when a man stepped out. He was tall, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, his hair slicked back. He carried a leather briefcase and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Mr. Hammond, the man called, striding over. James Sterling, Sterling Properties. Mind if we talk? Alex wiped his hands on his jeans, wary. About what? Sterling's smile widened, but it felt like a shark circling. I represent an interested buyer for this property. We're prepared to offer you a generous sum, say, $10,000, to vacate within the week. Alex's jaw dropped. $10,000? To leave my home? Are you kidding me? It's a fair deal, Sterling said smoothly. The market's hot, and this house, well, it's seen better days. You could start fresh somewhere else. Alex's blood boiled. This is my daughter's home. We're not going anywhere. Sterling's eyes narrowed, but his tone stayed calm. I'd reconsider, Mr. Hammond. Opportunities like this don't come twice. He handed Alex a business card, then returned to his SUV and drove off. Alex stared at the card, his hands shaking. He glanced at Eleanor's house, but her curtains were still. Was she behind this? He stormed inside, slamming the door. Lily looked up from the diary, sprawled on the couch. What's wrong, Dad? Nothing, he lied, forcing a smile. Just grown-up stuff. But as he sank into a chair, the diary caught his eye. Margaret's words echoed in his mind, a gift for those who come after me. If there was even a chance it was real, he had to find it, before Sterling or Eleanor took everything away. The next morning, Alex was in the garage, sorting through tools to fix a leaky pipe, when a knock came at the front door. He opened it to find a young man in his mid-20s, with sandy hair and a friendly grin. He wore a flannel shirt and carried a toolbox. Hey, I'm David, he said, extending a hand. Eleanor's grandson. She said you're having some house troubles. Thought I could help. Alex hesitated. After yesterday, he didn't trust anything connected to Eleanor. Why would you help us? David shrugged. Graham's always talking about you and Lily. Says you're good people. Plus, I'm a contractor. Fixing stuff's what I do. Against his better judgment, Alex let him in. They started on the pipe, working in companionable silence. David was skilled, his hands steady as he tightened a fitting. As they worked, he shared stories about the house. How his grandmother had grown up here, how it had been in the family for generations. Ever hear about any secrets in this place? Alex asked, testing the waters. David paused, his wrench still. Like what? Like hidden stuff. Old family stuff. Alex kept his tone casual, but his pulse quickened. David grinned. This house is full of quirks. False panels, weird nooks. My great-aunt Margaret was big on puzzles. Why, you find something. Alex debated telling him about the diary but held back. Just curious. They moved to the living room, where a loose door frame needed fixing. As David pried it open, something clattered to the floor, a small, tarnished key. They stared at it, the air suddenly charged. Ha, David said, picking it up. That's old. Looks like it belongs to something important. Alex's heart raced. The diary's words flashed in his mind, the key to a new beginning. He took the key, its weight heavy in his palm. Yeah, he said softly. Maybe it does. As David packed up his tools, Alex caught a glimpse of Eleanor watching from her window, her face unreadable. He didn't know if David was an ally or part of her plan, but the key in his pocket felt like the first real hope he'd had in years. The key felt like a talisman in Alex Hammond's pocket, its cold metal pressing against his thigh as he stood in the living room, staring at the warped door frame where David had found it. The morning light filtered through the dusty curtains, casting a golden haze over the room. Lily was at school, and David had left to grab coffee, promising to return to tackle more repairs. Alex's fingers traced the key's jagged edges, his mind racing. The key to a new beginning, Margaret's diary had said. But a beginning to what? He pulled the diary from the kitchen table, its leather cover worn soft by time. Lily had marked pages with sticky notes, her childish handwriting scrawling theories about the inheritance. Alex flipped to the entry about the key, rereading the cryptic words, "It opens what is hidden, where memories sleep." He scanned the room, half expecting a secret door to materialize. The house creaked, as if mocking his impatience. David's pickup rumbled into the driveway, and Alex slipped the key back into his pocket. David strode in, 2 steaming coffee cups in hand, his grin as easy as ever. "Ready to play handyman again?" he asked, handing Alex a cup. "Yeah," Alex said, forcing a smile. He wanted to trust David, but Eleanor's secrecy, and that slick developer, Sterling, made him wary. Still, David's knowledge of the house was invaluable. Any idea where an old key might fit? Like a lock from your grandma's time. David's brow furrowed as he sipped his coffee. Could be anything. This place is a maze of old junk. My great-aunt Margaret was always hiding stuff, letters, trinkets. She loved her games. He paused, his eyes sharpening. You found something, didn't you? Alex hesitated, then pulled out the key, holding it up to the light. This fell out of the doorframe yesterday. Lily found a diary, Margaret's. It mentions a key like this. David's face lit up. No kidding. That's wild. Let's hunt for a lock. He set his coffee down, already scanning the room. Old houses like this. They've got secrets in the bones. They started in the living room, tapping walls for hollow spots, checking baseboards for hidden compartments. Alex's skepticism waned as David's enthusiasm grew infectious. They moved to the hallway, where an antique cabinet stood, its lock rusted but intact. Alex slid the key in, his heart pounding. It turned with a soft click, but the door only revealed dusty china plates. Strike one, David said, undeterred. Let's try upstairs. In Lily's room, they examined the loose floorboard where she'd found the diary. David knelt, running his fingers along the wood. This board's been pried up before, he said. Margaret might have hidden more. Alex's pulse quickened. They lifted the board, but the space beneath was empty, save for cobwebs. As David stood, he bumped the bedpost, and a faint thud echoed. They froze, exchanging glances. David tapped the post, then twisted it. It unscrewed, revealing a hollow compartment, and a small, locked wooden box. Bingo, David whispered. Alex's hands shook as he inserted the key. The lock clicked, and the lid creaked open. Inside was nothing. Just a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. Alex unfolded it, his hope deflating. Written in Margaret's elegant cursive was a single line, "Follow the path to the sun." What the hell does that mean? Alex muttered, frustration bubbling. David grinned. It's a riddle. Margaret's playing with us from beyond the grave. Alex stared at the paper, the words blurring. The key had opened something, but it wasn't the answer he needed. Not yet. That afternoon, Alex's world tilted again. He was in the backyard, staring at the riddle's words, "Follow the path to the sun," when a familiar black SUV rolled up. James Sterling stepped out, his suit pristine despite the heat. This time, a woman in a sharp blazer followed him, clutching a briefcase. Alex's stomach churned. He stuffed the paper into his pocket and strode toward them. "Mr. Hammond," Sterling said, his smile oily. "This is Ms. Carter, my attorney. We need to discuss your tenancy." "My tenancy?" Alex's voice was low, dangerous. "I told you, I'm not leaving." Ms. Carter opened her briefcase, pulling out a document. "You're 2 months behind on rent, Mr. Hammond. Mrs. Grayson has authorized us to begin eviction proceedings unless you vacate immediately." Alex's blood roared in his ears. Eleanor authorized this? Bullshit. She'd never. He stopped, doubt creeping in. Her secrecy, the phone call about selling the house. Was she playing him? Sterling's eyes gleamed. "We're offering $15,000 now. Take it, or you'll be out with nothing." Alex stepped closer, his fists clenched. "Get off my property." Ms. Carter raised a hand. "This isn't your property, Mr. Hammond. It's Mrs. Grayson's. And she's made her decision." Sterling leaned in, his voice a hiss. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Think of your daughter." The mention of Lily snapped something in Alex. He grabbed Sterling's collar, shoving him back. "Don't you dare bring her into this." Ms. Carter stepped between them, her voice calm but firm. "Mr. Hammond, assault won't help your case. You have until tomorrow to respond." They retreated to the SUV, leaving Alex trembling with rage. He stormed to Eleanor's house, pounding on the door. She opened it, her face pale, her cardigan slipping off one shoulder. "Alex, what? Are you evicting us?" he demanded. "After everything, you're siding with that snake Sterling?" Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. "No, it's not what you think. Please, Come inside. I'm done with your secrets, Alex snapped. You're selling us out, and I want to hear you say it. I'm not. Eleanor's voice cracked. I'm trying to protect you and Lily, but I can't explain yet. You have to trust me. Trust you? Alex laughed bitterly. You're tearing my life apart. He turned and walked away, her soft sobs fading behind him. Back home, he sank onto the couch, the riddles paper crumpled in his hand. He didn't see Eleanor's curtain twitch, or the way she clutched a photo of a young woman who looked strikingly like Lily. Lily came home from school, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Find anything with the key, Dad?" she asked, dropping onto the floor beside him. Alex forced a smile, hiding his anger. "Yeah, kiddo. A box with this." He showed her the riddle. Lily's face lit up. "A treasure hunt. Let's figure it out." She grabbed the diary, flipping to a marked page. "Look, Great-Grandma wrote about the path to the sun here too." She read aloud, "When the sun rises, its light shows the way. Stand where time meets the earth." Time meets the earth. Alex frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Lily tapped her chin, mimicking a detective. Maybe a clock? Or a sundial? Like in old gardens. Alex's eyes widened. He remembered a moss-covered sundial in the backyard, half hidden by weeds. "You're a genius, Lil." They raced outside, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows. The sundial was ancient, its bronze face etched with Roman numerals. Lily brushed away the moss, revealing faint carvings. "Look, Dad. It's got words. Follow my shadow." Alex checked the time. Nearly 5 p.m. The sundial's shadow stretched across the grass, pointing to a patch of earth near a gnarled oak tree. "That's it," he whispered. They grabbed a shovel from the garage and started digging. The dirt was hard, baked by summer, but after 10 minutes, the shovel hit something solid. They unearthed a rusted metal box, its lid engraved with a sunburst. Alex's hands shook as he brushed it clean. "Is it the inheritance?" Lily asked, bouncing on her toes. "Let's find out," Alex said, but his hope was tempered by the empty box from before. He tried the key, but it didn't fit. The lock was too small, too modern. "Another dead end?" Lily's voice wavered. "Not yet," Alex said, determination hardening. "This is part of it. I can feel it." That evening, David returned, his toolbox clanking. Alex showed him the metal box, explaining the sundial clue. David whistled. Margaret was a mastermind. This is like Indiana Jones stuff. They gathered in the kitchen, the box on the table. Lily traced the sunburst engraving, her brow furrowed. The diary said, "Where memories sleep." Maybe it's not money. Maybe it's something personal. David nodded. Old families hid heirlooms, deeds, stuff like that. "Let's crack it open." Alex hesitated. The box felt like a Pandora's box, hope and danger in equal measure. But Sterling's threat loomed, and he had no choice. David used a screwdriver to pry the lid, the hinges groaning. Inside was another piece of paper, this one with a new riddle. "Look where the old meets the new, where light dances through color." Lily groaned. "Another riddle? Great-grandma's mean." David laughed. "She's testing us. Any ideas?" Alex thought of the house's quirks, its creaky stairs, odd angles. Light dances through color, like a stained glass window. "There's one in the attic," Lily said, jumping up. "I saw it when we got the Christmas stuff." They climbed the narrow attic stairs, the air thick with dust. The stained glass window was small, set high in the gable, its colors muted by grime. Red, blue, and yellow panes formed a sunburst, echoing the box's engraving. Alex checked his watch. 6:30 p.m. The sun was low, its rays just beginning to hit the window. "Wait for it," David said, his voice hushed. As the sun dipped, a beam of light pierced the glass, projecting a rainbow pattern onto the attic floor. In the center was a faint outline, a rectangle, like a hidden panel. Alex knelt, his fingers finding a seam in the wood. He pried it open, revealing a dusty compartment. Inside was a leather pouch, heavy with something solid. "Holy crap," David muttered. Alex opened the pouch, his breath catching. It held a single object, a brass compass, its needle still spinning lazily. Engraved on the back were the words, "To my family, find your way home." Lily's eyes shone. "It's beautiful, Dad. But, is this the inheritance?" Alex's throat tightened. The compass wasn't money, but it felt like a lifeline, a message from Margaret, urging him to keep going. "It's a start," he said, clutching it tightly. That night, Alex couldn't sleep. The compass lay on his nightstand, its needle glinting in the moonlight. The latest riddle, "Look where the old meets the new," nagged at him. The attic window had been a clue, but the compass pointed to something more. He flipped through the diary, searching for answers, but Margaret's words were maddeningly elusive. Lily was asleep, her sketchbook open to a drawing of the compass. David had gone home, promising to dig into his grandmother's old stories for clues. Alex's eyes burned with fatigue, but Sterling's deadline, tomorrow, loomed like a guillotine. He needed something concrete, something to fight back with. He reread the riddle, focusing on old meets new. The house was old, built in the 1920s, but parts had been renovated. New wiring, new plumbing. Where did they intersect? He thought of the basement, where exposed pipes ran alongside crumbling brick walls. It was a long shot, but he grabbed a flashlight and headed down. The basement was damp, its air heavy with mildew. Alex scanned the walls, his beam catching on a section where new drywall met old stone. He tapped it, hearing a hollow echo. His pulse raced. Using a crowbar, he pried off the drywall, revealing a false panel. Behind it was a small, locked safe embedded in the stone. The key didn't fit, but the compass did. He pressed it against the safe's face, and a hidden mechanism clicked. The door swung open, revealing a stack of yellowed documents, and a letter in Margaret's handwriting, addressed to my heirs. Alex's hands shook as he unfolded it. The first line sent a chill down his spine. "This house is yours, by blood and by right. Do not let them take it." The basement air was thick with dust and secrets as Alex Hammond clutched the letter from his great-grandmother Margaret. Its words burned into his mind. "This house is yours, by blood and by right. Do not let them take it." The safe held more, deeds, faded photographs, and a yellowed envelope marked "Will of Margaret Hammond." His hands trembled as he stuffed the documents into the leather pouch with the compass, his heart pounding with a mix of hope and dread. It was past midnight, and James Sterling's eviction deadline loomed like a storm cloud. But this could change everything. Alex climbed the creaky stairs to the kitchen, the house silent except for the faint hum of the fridge. Lily was asleep upstairs, her sketchbook filled with drawings of the compass and sundial. He wanted to wake her, to share the discovery, but she deserved one more night of peace before their world turned upside down again. Instead, he spread the documents on the table, his flashlight casting stark shadows. The will was dense, written in formal legalese, but one line stood out. "I bequeath my home at 127 Willow Lane to my descendants, in perpetuity." Descendants. That meant him. Lily. But why had Eleanor, their landlord, never mentioned this? Her secrecy, her evasiveness, it gnawed at him. He needed answers. The next morning, Alex knocked on Eleanor's door, the pouch tucked under his arm. She opened it, her silver hair disheveled, her eyes red-rimmed as if she hadn't slept. "Alex," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Come in." They sat in her cramped living room, the air heavy with the scent of lavender and old grief. Eleanor offered tea, but Alex waved it off. "I found something," he said, pulling out the letter and will. "Margaret's will. It says this house belongs to my family. Why didn't you tell me?" Eleanor's hands shook as she took the papers, her eyes scanning the familiar handwriting. She sank into her chair, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I wanted to, Alex. I swear. But it's complicated. Complicated." Alex's voice rose, sharp with frustration. "You've been lying to us, Eleanor. You're not even the landlord, are you?" She flinched, then shook her head. "No. I'm not. I'm the caretaker. Margaret was my sister. When she died, she left the house to your family, but the will was lost, or so I thought. I've been paying the taxes, keeping it up, because I couldn't bear to let it go. I thought you and Lily deserved a home, even if I couldn't tell you the truth." Alex stared, his anger warring with disbelief. Your sister? Then why let us think we're just tenants? Why let Sterling threaten us? Eleanor's voice broke. Sterling's father was Margaret's lawyer. He promised to handle the will, but he disappeared with it. I thought it was gone forever. When Sterling came sniffing around, offering to buy the house, I panicked. I didn't know what he knew, or what he'd do. Alex leaned forward, his jaw tight. So you let him bully us? You let him think he could take our home? I was trying to protect you, Eleanor whispered. I thought if I stalled him, I could find a way to make things right. But I was wrong. I'm so sorry. The room fell silent, the weight of her confession settling like dust. Alex wanted to be furious, but her tears, her frail hands clutching Margaret's letter, softened his edges. We're going to fight this, he said finally. This is our home, and I'm not letting Sterling take it. Eleanor nodded, wiping her eyes. I'll help you, Alex. Whatever it takes. As he left her house, the pouch felt heavier, its contents a lifeline and a burden. He didn't see the black SUV parked down the street, or the glint of binoculars in the morning sun. Alex couldn't shake Eleanor's words as he returned home, the will and letter burning a hole in his mind. Lily was at the kitchen table, eating cereal and reading the diary. Dad, you look like you saw a ghost, she said, her spoon pausing mid-air. He managed a smile. Just a long morning, kiddo. Found some stuff last night. He hesitated, then decided she deserved to know. Great-grandma's will says this house is ours. But we've got to prove it. Lily's eyes widened. Ours? Like forever? Maybe, Alex said, ruffling her hair. But we've got work to do. David arrived an hour later, his toolbox clanking. Alex filled him in, showing him the documents. David's jaw dropped. Holy crap, man. This is huge. Graham never told me any of this. She says she was protecting us, Alex said, his tone still edged with doubt. But I need to know what else is in this house. The diary's got more clues, and I'm betting there's more hidden. David nodded, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Let's tear this place apart. Carefully, I mean. They started in the basement again, where the safe had been hidden. Lily tagged along, clutching the diary like a treasure map. The basement was a labyrinth of old pipes and crumbling brick, its corners shadowed even in daylight. David tapped the walls, listening for hollow spots. Old houses like this, he said, they've got false walls, secret rooms. Margaret was clever. She'd hide stuff where no one'd look. Lily pointed to a corner where the brick met a newer concrete wall. What about there? The diary says, where old meets new again. Alex and David exchanged glances. David grabbed a crowbar, prying at the concrete. It gave way easier than expected, revealing a wooden panel behind it. Alex's heart raced as they pulled it free, exposing a narrow doorway. Beyond it was a small, dusty room, no bigger than a closet, its walls lined with shelves. On them were old photo albums, a tin box, and a stack of letters tied with twine. Holy shit, David breathed. Margaret's secret hideout. Lily darted forward, grabbing an album. She flipped it open, revealing black and white photos of a young woman, Margaret, her dark curls like lilies, standing in front of the house. In one, she held a baby, her smile radiant. That's gotta be your grandma, Dad, Lily said. Alex nodded, his throat tight. The tin box held more documents, tax records, a deed in Margaret's name, and another letter. He read it aloud, his voice unsteady. To my heirs, this house is your legacy. The truth lies with the will, but beware those who'd steal it. Trust only family. Who's trying to steal it? Lily asked, her voice small. Sterling, Alex said grimly. And maybe his dad before him. David's face darkened. Graham said Sterling's dad was shady. If he hid the will, we need proof. Alex clutched the letter, a fire kindling in his chest. This wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about his family, his history, and fighting for what was theirs. That afternoon, Alex, Lily, and David pored over the documents in the secret room. The deed confirmed Margaret's ownership, but the will was the key. It named Alex's grandfather as her heir, passing the house down through the family. Alex's father had died young, and his mother had never mentioned the house, likely unaware of its significance. Eleanor's role as caretaker had kept it in limbo, but now the truth was clear. The house was legally Alex's. But one detail nagged at him. The letter warned of those who'd steal it. Sterling's father, the lawyer, had vanished with the will. Was Sterling continuing his father's scheme? Alex's mind raced, piecing together Eleanor's story and the documents. "We need to confront Sterling," he said. "Show him we know." David shook his head. "He's slick. He'll deny everything unless we have hard proof." Lily, flipping through the diary, gasped. "Wait, look." She pointed to an entry. "The lawyer promised to file the will, but I saw greed in his eyes. I kept a copy, hidden where the sun meets the earth." "We already found the sundial box," Alex said, frowning. "It was empty." "Maybe we missed something," David said. "Let's check again." They returned to the backyard, the sundial's shadow now short in the midday sun. David examined the base, his fingers probing the stone. "There's a seam here," he said, prying it open. Inside was a small cavity, holding a single page, a carbon copy of the will, stamped and notarized. Alex's breath caught. "This is it. Legal proof." Lily hugged him, her eyes shining. "We're gonna keep the house, right, Dad?" "I hope so, kiddo," Alex said, but Sterling's threat loomed. He needed a plan, and fast. Back in the kitchen, Alex spread out the documents, the carbon copy of the will gleaming like a weapon. David leaned over, his brow furrowed. Sterling's dad must have hidden the original to keep the house in legal limbo. That's why Graham's been paying taxes. She thought she had no choice. "But why?" Lily asked, her cereal bowl forgotten. "Why steal a will?" "Money," Alex said grimly. "This house is on a big lot. Developers like Sterling could tear it down, build condos, make millions." David's jaw tightened. "My dad worked with Sterling's dad years ago. Said he was ruthless, forged papers, bribed officials. If Sterling's like him, he won't back down easy." Alex's mind flashed to Sterling's smug face, his threats about Lily. "We need leverage. Something he can't wiggle out of." David grinned, a spark in his eyes. "I might have an idea. My dad kept old files from his law firm days. If Sterling's dad did something shady, there could be a paper trail." "Do it," Alex said. "But we've got to move fast. Sterling's deadline is tomorrow." As David left to dig through his father's files, Alex looked at Lily, her face pale but determined. "You okay, kid?" She nodded. "I want to help. Great-grandma trusted us to find this stuff. We can't let her down." Alex pulled her into a hug, his heart swelling. "We won't." The next morning, Sterling's SUV pulled up at 8 a.m. sharp. Alex was ready, the pouch of documents hidden under his jacket. Lily watched from the porch, clutching the diary, while David stood beside Alex, his toolbox a subtle threat. Sterling stepped out, Ms. Carter at his side, her briefcase gleaming. "Mr. Hammond," Sterling said, his smile razor-sharp. "Time's up. Vacate by noon, or we file for eviction." Alex crossed his arms. "I'm not going anywhere. This house is mine." Sterling laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "Yours. You're a tenant, nothing more." Alex pulled out the carbon copy of the will, holding it up. "Margaret Hammond's will says otherwise. This house belongs to my family. Your father stole the original, didn't he?" Sterling's smile faltered, but he recovered quickly. "A forgery. You have no proof." Ms. Carter stepped forward, her voice icy. "Produce the original will, or this is meaningless." Alex's stomach twisted. He didn't have the original, but he had something else. "We found Margaret's deed, letters, a copy of the will. It's enough to take you to court. And I'm betting your dad's old files have some dirt you don't want out." Sterling's eyes narrowed. "You're bluffing." "Try me," Alex said, his voice steady. "This is going public. People love a story about a greedy developer screwing over a single dad." Sterling's jaw twitched, but he turned to Ms. Carter, whispering fiercely. She nodded, and they retreated to the SUV. As it sped off, Alex exhaled, his legs shaky. David clapped his shoulder. "Nice bluff, man." "It's not over," Alex said. "We need that original will." Lily ran to him, her eyes fierce. "We'll find it, Dad. Great-grandma's still helping us." That afternoon, David called Alex from his father's old office, his voice electric. "I found something. Dad's old computer has a locked folder labeled Hammond case. I'm no hacker, but I know a guy who can crack it." "Do it," Alex said, hope flaring. "We need anything that ties Sterling's dad to the will." By evening, David was back, his laptop open on the kitchen table. Lily leaned over, her eyes wide as he pulled up a scanned document. It was the original will, dated 1947, with Margaret's signature and a notary's seal. A second file showed a memo from Sterling's father, admitting he'd secured the will to protect the property's value. "Holy crap," Alex whispered. "This is it." David grinned. "There's more." Emails from Sterling to his dad, talking about buying out Graham's stake in the house. "They knew it was yours all along." Lily pumped her fist. "We got him, Dad." Alex's mind raced. The documents were a bombshell, but Sterling was powerful. "We need to go public," he said. "Get a lawyer, leak this to the press. Let the world see what he's done." David nodded. "I know a guy at the local paper. And with social media, this could blow up." As they planned, Alex glanced at the compass on the table, its needle steady now, pointing north. Margaret's words echoed, "Find your way home." For the first time, he felt like he was. The morning sun barely pierced the gray clouds hanging over 127 Willow Lane, casting a muted glow on the house's peeling blue siding. Alex Hammond stood in his kitchen, the scanned copy of Margaret's original will and the damning memo from Sterling's father spread across the table. His hands were steady, but his heart thundered. Today was make or break. James Sterling's deadline had passed, and Alex knew the developer wouldn't back down without a fight. Lily sat across from him, her dark curls spilling over the diary, her eyes fierce with determination. David, Eleanor's grandson, paced by the window, his phone buzzing with texts from his contact at the local paper. "We've got everything," Alex said, his voice low but resolute. "The will, the memo, the emails. Sterling can't dodge this." David nodded, his jaw tight. "My guy at the paper's ready to run the story. We just need to get these to a lawyer first, make it official." Lily looked up, her pencil pausing over a sketch of the compass. What if Sterling tries something sneaky? Like, burns the house down or something? Alex forced a smile, though her words sent a chill through him. "He's not that desperate, kiddo. He's a suit, not a cartoon villain." But Eleanor's voice, trembling with guilt yesterday, echoed in his mind. Sterling's father was ruthless. If the son was anything like him, Alex couldn't afford to underestimate him. A sharp knock at the door snapped him back to the present. David peered out the window, his face darkening. "It's Sterling. And that lawyer lady." Alex took a deep breath, tucking the documents into the leather pouch with the compass. "Stay here, Lil," he said, then glanced at David. "You with me?" "Damn right," David said, grabbing his toolbox as a subtle show of strength. They stepped onto the porch, where James Sterling stood in his pristine suit, Miss Carter beside him with her ever-present briefcase. Sterling's smile was gone, replaced by a cold, calculating stare. "Mr. Hammond," he said, his voice clipped. "You've made this unnecessarily difficult. I'm here to offer one final deal, $20,000 to vacate by tomorrow." Alex crossed his arms, the pouch heavy under his jacket. "I told you, this house is mine. I've got Margaret Hammond's will, original and copy. And proof your father stole it." Sterling's eyes flickered, but he recovered quickly. "Old papers mean nothing without legal weight. You're out of time." Ms. Carter stepped forward, her tone icy. "We've filed for eviction. The sheriff will be here tomorrow unless you comply." Alex pulled out the scanned will and memo, holding them up. "This says your dad hid the will to cheat my family. And these emails, they show you knew. You think the courts, or the press, will like that?" Sterling's jaw twitched, his facade cracking. "You're bluffing. Those are forgeries." "Then explain this," David said, holding up his phone, where a screenshot of the memo glowed. "My dad's files don't lie. You and your dad have been playing dirty for decades." Sterling's face reddened, but he forced a laugh. "You think you can scare me with a few papers? I own half this town. You're nobody." Alex stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. "I'm a father fighting for his daughter's home. You're just a thief in a suit. Walk away, or this goes viral." Ms. Carter whispered something to Sterling, her eyes darting nervously. He shook his head, but the fight was draining from him. "You'll regret this," he spat, then turned and strode to his SUV, Ms. Carter hurrying behind. As the vehicle sped off, Alex exhaled, his legs shaky. David clapped his shoulder. "That was badass, man." Lily ran out, hugging Alex's waist. "Did we win, Dad?" "Not yet," Alex said, but he felt the tide turning. "We've got one more step." By noon, Alex, David, and Lily were at the office of Rachel Nguyen, a local attorney David knew from his contracting work. Her office was small, cluttered with legal books and coffee mugs, but her sharp eyes and quick smile put Alex at ease. He laid out the documents, the will, the deed, the memo, the emails, while Lily fidgeted, clutching the diary. Rachel scanned the papers, her brow furrowing. "This is explosive," she said, tapping the memo. "Sterling's father admitting to hiding the will? That's fraud. And these emails tie James Sterling to the scheme. We can file an emergency injunction to stop the eviction and claim your ownership." "How long will it take?" Alex asked, his voice tight. "Sterling's got money, connections." Rachel leaned back, her smile fierce. "He's not the only one with connections. I know a judge who hates developers like him. And this." She held up the memo. "This is a slam dunk. But we need to move fast." David grinned. "I sent the files to my guy at the paper. He's drafting a story now. If Sterling tries anything, it'll be front-page news." Rachel nodded. "Good. Public pressure will keep him in check. Let's get this filed today." That afternoon, Rachel filed the injunction, and David's contact posted a teaser on the paper's website. "Local developer caught in decades-old fraud?" The story hinted at the will and Sterling's father scheme, without naming Alex or Lily. By evening, it was trending on X, with hashtags like #SaveWillowLane and #SterlingScandal gaining traction. Comments flooded in, "Greedy developers at it again. Protect that family's home." Alex watched the posts multiply, his phone buzzing with notifications. Lily scrolled beside him, her eyes wide. "Dad, people are on our side. Look at this one. Sterling's a crook. Give that dad his house." Alex smiled, but his chest tightened. The attention was a weapon, but it also exposed them. He glanced at Eleanor's house, where she'd been quiet since their confrontation. She'd promised to help, but could he trust her? That night, Rachel called. "The judge granted the injunction. No eviction until we settle this. And Sterling's lawyer wants to talk settlement tomorrow." Alex hung up, hope and fear warring inside him. He looked at Lily, asleep on the couch, the compass clutched in her hand. "We're almost there," he thought. "Hold on." The settlement meeting was held in a sterile conference room at the courthouse, the air thick with tension. Alex sat beside Rachel, the pouch of documents on the table. Lily was at school, David watching her, while Eleanor sat across from Alex, her face pale but resolute. Sterling and Ms. Carter faced them, his usual swagger diminished. The viral story had hit hard, protesters gathered outside Sterling's office, and the local news was eating it up. Rachel laid out the evidence, her voice calm but cutting. "The will is verified by a notary's seal and corroborated by Margaret Hammond's letters. The memo from Mr. Sterling's father admits to fraud. We're prepared to take this to trial, but the public's already made up its mind." Sterling's eyes darted to the window, where a news van was parked. "What do you want?" he growled. "The house," Alex said, his voice steady. "It's mine. Always has been. Drop the eviction, walk away, and we won't press charges for fraud." Ms. Carter whispered to Sterling, but he waved her off. "Fine," he said, his voice tight. "The house is yours. But don't think you've won." "Oh, we have," Rachel said, sliding a settlement agreement across the table. "Sign it." Sterling scrawled his name, his hand shaking with suppressed rage. As he left, Alex felt a weight lift, like the house itself was exhaling. Back home, Eleanor handed Alex the deed, her eyes brimming with tears. "I should have told you years ago," she said. "Margaret wanted you to have this. I kept it safe for her, but I failed you." Alex shook his head, his anger softened by victory. "You kept it standing, Eleanor. That's enough." Lily ran in, her backpack bouncing. "Did we win, Dad?" He knelt, pulling her into a hug. "Yeah, kiddo. We're home." That evening, Alex fixed the fence, properly this time, with David's help. Eleanor watched from her porch, a smile breaking through her usual reserve. The sun set, painting the house gold, and for the first time in years, Alex felt whole. A year later, the house at 127 Willow Lane was transformed. The blue siding was freshly painted, the roof repaired, the fence sturdy and proud. Inside, the walls were bright with new paint, and Lily's room was a riot of color, her sketches framed above her desk. The compass sat on a shelf, a quiet reminder of their fight. It was Lily's 11th birthday, and the backyard was alive with laughter. Kids from her school ran through a sprinkler, while David grilled burgers, joking with neighbors. Eleanor sat in a lawn chair, her cardigan swapped for a bright sundress, her face glowing as she watched Lily blow out her candles. Alex stood on the porch, a beer in hand, his chest tight with gratitude. The lawsuit had settled, the house legally his, and Sterling had slunk away, his reputation battered. The viral story had faded, but the community hadn't forgotten. They'd rallied to help renovate, donating paint, lumber, even time. Rachel Nguyen stopped by, her smile wide. "You did it, Alex. This place is a home again." "Thanks to you," he said, clinking his bottle against hers. "And Margaret." As the party wound down, Alex walked to the sundial, its bronze face gleaming. He traced the words, "Follow my shadow," and thought of Margaret, her clues guiding them to this moment. The house wasn't just walls and windows, it was a legacy, a promise kept. Lily ran up, her face smeared with cake. "Dad, this is the best birthday ever." He pulled her close, kissing her forehead. "Yeah, Lil. It really is." As the stars emerged, Alex stood on the porch, the compass in his pocket, its needle steady. He was home. The end.